Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be going over a starter guide for Gold Mythic Titan. I know a lot of people have got their hands on this guy. Even at low grades he seems to be able to get pretty decent attack stat if you mod him correctly and give him the right weapon, that sort of thing. So we're going to get into some of the ideas behind this. Even at grade 5 I managed to get mine close to 100,000 damage, which is pretty nice, and that's before buffs in an actual, raid or war, which you can get up to 30-40% pretty easily if you do have some of those buff weapons. Now, first off, if you do want to look at how a lot of his skills work, I did do a preview of this character when he was first announced, and you can go and check that video out, but this one's just going to be going over some other parts of his kit and just my ideas on how to gear him out. Now, first off, we'll look at his skills, and he doesn't have to have anything upgraded on his Adrenaline Rush. I do think LB1 is probably where the Adrenaline Rush gets a lot of its power just because of the big AP percentage boost. I should be able to get him to LB1 before the end of the NWO event, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get him to LB3 for a little while. And then his signature whip is good off the bat. It obviously does get a lot better at LB2 because the starting cooldown goes to turn 1, but a 2-turn normalize is awesome, and that's where a lot of his power is in terms of his usability, and which is great. But the rest of his kit is not too bad either. I have completely maxed out his stuff otherwise. All of his skills are reasonable for him, and they're going to be nice, even though some of them are like low percentage chance to happen. It is a good idea to actually make it happen. The stun when he takes someone out, I think you get 40% chance up to 2 other enemies get stunned for 1 turn at grade 5. I think it goes up to 80%, and then you can get up to 60% on that advantageous. These are all good. These are all good. He also has a chance of getting focus, I believe. What's the percentage there? 60% focus. So there's nothing guaranteed except the trait damage and agility, but they're all going to be good if they actually happen. So I definitely would recommend maxing out all of his skills here, just because it's going to make Titan a better character, especially if you're using him a lot. Now, combat mods is where a lot of things can be decided, obviously, of how good a character is going to turn out. If you mod a character incorrectly, it can really make a certain character suffer, especially damage dealers. And this guy is a damage dealer. He's a flat damage king, and that is kind of rare right now in the Mythic era. I think we're going to start getting a few more because we did get a couple recently. We have got like the Gentleman, now Titan. A lot of the characters we've got that are damage dealers are multi-hits, which is all about like crit set and having a lot of good crit set mods. However, with flat damage, it's all about attack set, just having high attack as possible and getting the most out of his Adrenaline Rush as you can, because his signature move, while it does hit reasonably hard, the power is all in that Adrenaline Rush. So definitely want to get that attack stat up as high as possible. So just put an attack on attack mod on him. We'll stick with attack set throughout the entirety of his combat mods if possible as well. So I have a pretty good attack on attack mod. I think I've got about a 24.5% mod, so nearly max mod, which is awesome. The higher the better. If you do go to War of Champions, you could potentially pick up an attack on attack Paragon mod, which I think goes to 27%. And it is an RNG, so it's a guaranteed, you're going to get that exactly, and it's going to work really well on Titan. In the top right hand corner, you're going to be doing attack versus. This is obviously dependent on how you're going to use Titan, what other characters you've got on your attack teams, what teams you're attacking against. If you're going to use him against every team, you've got to make sure you're going to spread the damage around a bit. If he's low grade, which mine is, you could potentially go with attack versus fast, just so you guarantee actually nuking fast characters. I'm actually probably going to do this, and then the second trait I'm going to go with is something that my other damage dealer is not going to go with. I think I'm probably going to use Lydia with Titan, and I know Lydia has attack versus strong and attack versus alert on her kit for me, so I'm going to go with attack versus tough on Titan here. However, I could potentially go with attack versus strong as well, just because there's a lot of strong characters, or attack versus alert as well, just because there's a lot of alert characters. So I'm going to go with attack versus strong just because there's a lot of strong characters. But it's basically on however you want, to gear out Titan. Just make sure you have a plan. Don't just put your highest percentage in here for no reason. Make sure you have a plan and a reason why you're doing it. Bottom right hand corner is a pretty easy mod for me, especially right now. And especially for Titan, it doesn't matter whether you're using him in a full NWO team or in another team where it's just Titan, taunt is always going to be an issue for him, just because full NWO team does not get any resist there. They get a lot of resist, but nothing for taunt. He does get his pop of focus every now and again, but this is just going to be like a double chance to resist effectively. You know, if you can resist the taunt in the first place, that's a good start, because there's a lot of taunt around right now, especially long, like 2 or 3 turn taunts off of turn 1 from defense teams, and they can just lock in your damage dealer, especially if you do not have a fully maxed Titan, so you're not going to be able to get that first turn normalized off. You do want to actually have your turn 2, so that's why I'm going to be using a taunt resist on Titan here. And as you can see, we do get the triple lock-in, so we do get a bit more of a boost to the attack, and it's going up to 40k, which is like around about a 12,000 damage boost. Like I say, he's starting to get some big numbers at only grade 5, which is actually pretty impressive. Bottom left-hand corner is debatable. It is whether you want to try and make that guaranteed crit do more damage, or if you want to potentially go for like a burn mod, or you could do attack while impaired or something like this. There's very little options, honestly, for auxiliary mods, that bottom left-hand corner side, because for damage dealers, you just want to amplify their damage as much as possible, and there's not too many things that actually do that, and burn and bleed are kind of just like out of the mix at the moment, unfortunately. That's just the way it is. So I'm going to go with the crit multiplier mod here, and you want to have as high a mod here as possible, and if you can keep it on attack set, great, but if you have to go offset, as long as you have, I think, 3 to 4 attack set mods, you should be okay. But yeah, attack set crit multiplier is very nice. It does mean that his guaranteed signature move crit will hit harder, which is obviously a big deal. Now, it is worth noting that it will not work with his Adrenaline Rush, and the same can be said for something like Agility within his skills, do not work with his Adrenaline Rush. However, I don't think it is that big a problem. Now, when it comes to the wild card slot, that middle slot, I think you've only really got 2 good options, and that would be a second resist, and it's based on the kind of teams that are around at the time. If there's 2 particular control types that are very meta, it might be worth doubling up on those resists. However, just make sure you don't double up on something that Titan could potentially get from someone else, especially if you're running like Jackie, especially if you're running, you know, other characters within NWO, because he can get a lot of resist there, which is actually pretty nice. Personally, I want to try and double down his damage as much as possible, and to do that, we're going to go with another attack versus mod. Now, I'm going to go with attack versus fast, because I don't have him at a high grade. I want to guarantee those fast characters are actually getting nuked by him. He's meant to be doing good damage against fast characters, and I got really lucky with a very good attack versus fast mod. As you can see, it's only 3% off of being max. You want to go for as highest percentage as possible. Now, within those 5 mods, again, like I say, you could probably sacrifice 1, maybe 2, if you've got a significant boost. If it's only like a 0.5% boost or a 1% boost, I'd say it's probably not worth it. But if it's like this one, where it's a 15% boost based on fortunately I have it on an attack set, but if it was on a HP set, I'd still probably go for it, just because, you know, 60% plus is actually crazy for attack versus. And then now you can see his attack is up to 41,840 base. This is without his weapon, this is without leader skill, and this is without any 1535 buffs around him. Now, before I move on to the kind of weapon I'm going to be using on Titan, this is his base weapon. I haven't upgraded his at all, but if I wanted to, I would go with a huge bonus in the second slot and just increase the attack to 45%. I think this is only really worth using if you have a full NWO lineup, but you are going to be sacrificing some early damage on Titan, and he has to get the kill for that 4th slot to actually proc to get the 50% attack. It is very much worth noting that. It's very important that he's the one that gets that kill, and that's going to happen more often than not if you have got him in a team with the likes of Trader, just because of how the Trader's rush works with the AP gain, and Titan can potentially get his rush off nice and quick because of that. And then those really maxed out Titans are going to have almost guaranteed chances to get kills because the rush hits so hard. However, if you do not have a full NWO lineup, I would recommend going for either a basic weapon like this, which is kind of just normal for a strong damage dealer, which is attack, bonus to AP on attack, healing stun, or just normal stun, it depends on what you've got available, and a 1535. This is going to be quite a nice damage increasing boost. You want to get that attack up as high as possible. As you can see, I got a little bit unfortunate. You don't have to go for healing stun. You could go for a normal stun and attack weapon, and you don't have to go for huge bonus. You could go for very large. It really just depends on what you have available. However, what I'm trying to craft for my Titan is a weapon like this, just like I have on my Lydia. It's going to be very effective. It is only going to work with his basic attacks and his signature move. It will not work with his rush, but it will increase the amount of damage output he's going to have in those situations. And with the right mods, those attack versus are very nice that I've got on him. He's going to be doing still quite a significant boost in damage. And because he's a decap, obviously, if he gets that last hit, then that character is actually going to be taken out. Right now, I'm still crafting this item for him, so I'm going to be using that stun on attack weapon I just showed before in these tests ahead. But this is what I'm trying to go for personally, and I'll test it between the two just to see which one works better. So when we put Titan in a team, weapon in hand, you can see his attack stat goes up from 41k up to 63k, which is obviously great. Big boost to his attack. Now we're going to put a couple of characters around him, the leader, and also the 1535 in the hands of the leader and his adjacent character. That should boost his attack up quite a bit more. And here that is, we have got a 1535 in both the hands of Negan and Lydia, and you can see his attack stat gets nicely boosted up to 96k. If you compare his damage to Lydia's, Lydia is on a crit multiplier set. He's got more damage than her, and he's just grade 5, so it's actually pretty nasty. And this is one of the reasons I actually thought about potentially actually using him even at this low grade, just because his attack stat is quite high and the stuff on his kit is already just very good. So if we start the fight, you can see we've got that 40% attack buff. It is nice. And if you have got the Titan fully maxed out, you're going to be able to do some control off of turn 1 with normalize. Guardians and bodyguards and guardian shields and human shields are probably the best ones to actually target, just because they are going to be able to protect their team the easiest. So I probably would remove the bodyguard first with Titan and then just focus someone else down while the bodyguard's controlled. But in this situation, cannot do it because I have not got Titan with a turn 1. So I'm going to have to do some damage. Fortunately, I've geared my Lydia out specifically to nuke the likes of Mike. And then we're just going to be able to focus other characters and see what we're going to do. Like the next person who I probably would normally focus would be someone like the guy at the top, just because he has got like bide, which is problematic for sure. But I'm not going to focus him. As you can see, it's got a one turn skill here, so I can focus either of these two characters, and being able to take out someone who would normally be able to slow down my attacks based on their AP and stuff like that is actually pretty decent. And that's what the normalize does. I basically did enhanced damage because of that. And now we've got a low HP character here, and I can try and get the nuke in. And in like an NWO team, he would be able to get that 50% attack boost in that situation, but I have not got that weapon on purpose. And you can't see it, but that character is actually decapped. Now you should be able to see it. There we go. So after that, it's pretty much just a point of wrapping things up. The higher you get his attack stat, the better. Obviously, you want to be able to get that rush to absolutely destroy somebody, and it doesn't seem as heavy hitting as you would assume, and it's because we're so used to being able to crit. So attack stat is very important. His tier is very important, and if you do get him to LB3, that extra percentage is going to be great. Okay, so we're coming up against another team, and I did just take someone out with Titan, and you can see that his stun did proc. This is such a nice little bonus. The fact that Lydia and Titan basically do have this on his kit, but Titan's got on his basic attacks, his signature move, or his rush. As long as he gets the takedown, that's where it's going to come in, and it's awesome. And this is the kind of character that I think Titan's made for, basically. It's the likes of characters like Payback, which are extremely slow to take out, especially characters like Andre. If you do the signature move, it's going to stop the payback, and you can just come in with other signature moves or rushes or whatever you like. You know how it works. And if we get lucky, there we go, we do come in. So the basic attack on Lydia wasn't a big deal, but the signature move of Negan and Titan were. So from this point, it would just be pretty much just clean up, and that is because of Titan getting the nice early kill for the control and being able to take out who is the slowdown. The main slowdown on this defense team was the payback, and he's just made short work of him because of that normalize. So that's just some basics, a starter guide for Gold Mythic Titan. And like I said, you can get that attack damage up. Look at that stat on a grade 5, really high. If you've got Trader as a leader as well, that's going to get boosted even more because it's a 50% attack boost. So his attack stat is not a problem. It's just utilizing his kit as best as possible. Obviously, the normalize, you will find out who you have the biggest issues with. It can be different to you than it is to other people, but generally speaking, those ones that slow you down are the ones to try and stop, because they're generally, that's all it is from defense teams, things that are going to just slow down your attack, and Titan helps speed it up. Just make sure he's teamed up with a good team of other damage dealers. He can't be the solo guy. He isn't fast enough for one, and he doesn't damage enough people either. His rush is a single target, and so that means you're going to have someone else doing some damage as well. But in the right setup, I think he's going to be absolutely amazing, and he should be a lot of fun as well. But do tell me how you're planning to gear out your Titan. Is there anything that I showed that you're like, I'm actually going to do it this way? I always like to see how other people do things. Like I said, everyone's got their own little styles. Let me know in the comments down below, guys. What sort of attack stat as well have you managed to get to him? I'm probably going to be going for attack on attack Paragon mod for War of Champions, because that'll be a nice boost for him short term and long term as well. So yes, please. But yeah, that is the end of my video, guys. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.